it's wonderful to see everybody in person. Yay!
Yay!
Oh my gosh. This was on Zoom last time and it was a great event, but it's so nice to see everybody in person. So thank you all for being here. It's another beautiful, absolutely gorgeous day in Temecula, and we love being here. We love being here in the chamber, and we love to see all your beautiful faces. So we appreciate that. This is the July Women's, let's put on the spectacles. This is the July Women's Professional Collective. Today's topic is combating professional burnout. Okay, who needs that? All right. You have to be like, I got this, right? Okay. So the collective is designed to provide women in all industries with an opportunity to connect and to network, to exchange business, and to empower one another through sharing best business practices. Topic questions will prompt discussion and also a roundtable discussion. So definitely we want you to participate when it comes to that time in the meeting. It is all about you after all. We have these speakers to help you, but it's to initiate conversation. So we do have some wonderful sponsors today. First of all, Musicology. Please welcome Charlene Denning, and owner. And if you would like to say a few words, we'd love to hear from you.
Sure. So I'm Charlene. I'm like one of the owners over at Musicology. They're also teaching voice right now. And we just love what we do. We provide music lessons to all ages because you're never too old to learn music. You just can be too young, right? And it's super great for your brain and just your overall well-being. So it can also help combat burnout in a way. If anybody's interested, let us know. But we're located up here in Temecula off of Rancho California Road in Janiece. And we just love what we do, and we love to teach and educate and give people an outlet. Yeah. So if you guys are interested, let me know.
That is so wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here and supporting the chamber. And I did forget to mention we are being filmed. Oh. No pressure. There was, it's around right there. So there was a release to be signed on your way in, so hopefully everybody managed to sign that. If you did not, if you could please, because we would hate to have to track you down on every single video and blur out your face. That would not be good. Okay, so next we have Rabies Children Health Services. Please welcome Kristen Guest, Rabies Children Development Services.
Well, I wasn't going to start here. I thought I might introduce myself, but I have to say we have an autism inclusion program at our Murrieta Medical Plaza. It's a preschool program for 18 months to 5-year-olds. And in our San Diego school, we have a music program. We don't have one here yet. So we're here to connect. I'm Kristen Gist, and I've been at Rabies Children's for 47 years. And for 25 of those, I was the Senior Director of Developmental Services. I'm kind of in the growing in the garden of the has-beens a little bit, but really focusing on what we're doing in Riverside County in the area of developmental services and transforming mental health. At our Murrieta Medical Plaza, besides our primary care and 17 medical specialties, we have all the developmental services that you could imagine, including our inclusion preschool, where we still have slots open for typically developing children. And we have autism intervention services, occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, and psychologists who perform comprehensive developmental and psychological evaluations for children of all ages, but really specializing in the birth to 5-year-olds, because that's when the most critical period of brain development is happening. And just wanted to give you a minute of a little girl named Chelsea that we she's a teenager, saw for orthopedic physical therapy after having a very serious shoulder injury. And she came to PT with the most energetic, positive, happy demeanor. I mean, she seemed to love PT. She had a good relationship with her therapist until the day she didn't come. And the PT called the parents and found out that she'd been admitted to our child and adolescent psychiatry service with severe depression. No one would have had a clue. And so as we learned more and really studied this, we realized that our teens who are involved in athletics, that is their whole life. That's their identity. That's what they do with their time. That's their exercise, their peer group, their team. And for some of them, it's their future. They imagine this is their future, and for some it may be. And so now, as a result of Chelsea, we are screening every single physical therapy patient who comes into orthopedic PT starting at age 12. And in the past probably 10 months since we started this program, we've identified 100 children in need of resources and 30 children in need of care.
Wow,
So just to say that Chelsea taught us that it's not just about physical health, it's about mental health too, the whole child. And so doesn't that just lead into who we're hearing from today? That we have to take care of all of ourselves just as we have to take care of all of the child.
Thank you, Kristen. Wow, what a story to share. And it's so true to what's happening today. And we as adults have to deal with stress, but our kids, especially our teenagers, they put so much pressure on themselves. So with everything that's going on, it's just added pressure. So
And it's
thank you for
invisible
sharing
until
that.
it's not.
Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for the work that you do. And you're obviously a legend in your field. So thanks for your work with your organization for so many years. All right, so today's agenda, we are going to have 3 speaker presentations, and then we're going to open it up to questions. So that will be really fun. We want to hear from everybody. First, so we're going to get started with our first speaker, and it is Anna Maria. So let's see. Our first speaker leads and inspires via pure passion for sweat and self-renewal. She thrives as a movement specialist and a professional coactive coach at the elevated intersection of movement and mindset. In movement, she leads our community with indoor cycling, yoga, and meditative breath work. Breath, music, and sweat are the epicenter. In mindset, her private coaching practice supports individuals and teams to develop a deeper sense of personal fulfillment, which leads to a life of aligned action on purpose. Each aspect of her movement design and private coaching practice incorporates her educational journey and experience via her Bachelor of Science in Kinesiology, professional coactive coach certification, and extensive experience with movement certifications in indoor cycling, stop Pilates, TRX, and 200 HRRYT. That is a mouthful. She deeply adores her family, her friends, and treasures meaningful connections. She is an ocean, music, and outdoor adventurer who values connection, vitality, honesty, hope, and creativity. Please go ahead and welcome Anna Maria Lovett.
Good morning, ladies. I want to hold myself accountable for time, so I'm putting a little timer on for myself. So great to meet each of you. Thank you so much for having me here. And just to segue and dovetail for what we just heard, the importance of our mental health is paramount. And it's something that I continually work on. And the reason why I am so able to share about it is because I do invest myself in it and I do experience struggle, yes. So as a lifelong learner, I just want to share with you a little bit more about what works for me, what works for my clients in the growth coaching realm. And I want to acknowledge that burnout is evident in a lot of us, especially what we just have gone through and survived through the pandemic and beyond, reestablishing what's important to us again. We are whole and complex women, and we are affected by so many things. And we are dynamic. Things are ever changing, and we can always expect change and shift. What we can count on is that things will not be the same. So one of the tools that I use to identify the top values for clients of mine is to do a values extraction. So I wanted to practice this with you and use myself as a subject so that later on you can do this with yourself, maybe later on today as we follow up our session. So in this moment, I'm just inviting you to sit back and relax. And I do believe that movement and mindset do come together at a really important junction. So as you sit here, I'm inviting you to breathe and just relax on your own and listen in. And ideally, you can listen and hear for some threads of what's important to me because you'll be doing the same activity for yourself. I welcome you to close your eyes if it makes sense to you. Practicing deep listening and just hearing a little bit about my journey and identifying some values that are woven in through this experience. Last month, I went on a wilderness backpacking trip with 8 other women, end of June, into a remote area of Yosemite called the Chain Lakes. We donned 40-pound packs on our backs, and we put a month of prep work into this hike into nature. About half of us knew one another. 2 of them were the closest of my girlfriends. Still, there was a kindness, a wisdom, and a love for adventure that bonded us, even though we didn't know one another. There was no phone service. Can you imagine? We tracked ourselves on a downloaded map on the phone through a unkept post-pandemic trail in the wilderness with a blue dot on the map on my phone. Fallen trees from winter storms lay everywhere, and if my map leader wasn't there, it is likely we would have wandered anywhere into the wild. The elevation was 8,500 feet, and it was an added layer of challenge for my lungs and my heart. We hoisted ourselves with heavy packs over trees, laughing out loud at the size of this challenge with our obnoxious bug head nets, foul-smelling bug spray, but still we managed forward with the awkward weight upon our resilient bodies. The silence of the wilderness was comforting and so peaceful. The smell of the pines was like a forever Christmas scent. We were away from all people and city sounds. We could hear birds and light wind through the branches. The beauty of nature commanded our eyes to see so much. Every flower appeared that much brighter and uniquely shaped. Presence, warm, and sunshine was upon us. The meadows we walked past were full of greenery that looked like a scene out of a fairy tale. Despite various training levels, we were all presented with an unparalleled challenge. From a stay-at-home mom with 2 young kids who struggled with her weight to a top-level performing Ironman triathlete. The challenge was parallel. Still, not once did I hear anyone attempt to give up. When one of us could see another woman in discomfort through her eyes or body language, we would stop and say too that we needed a break. The level of determination was unreal. In this instance, and as this trip progressed, the compassionate energy of each woman to nurture the other was mind-blowing. Again, we didn't know one another, yet we nurtured each other like we were a protected pack. It was something beautiful that I couldn't even explain. Sometimes we would veer off course and had to course correct, but we didn't skip a beat and nobody complained, even with the added mileage with the weight on our backs. It was the true essence of team effort. What stayed with me on this journey into the woods was this fierce perseverance, a sense of authenticity, flexibility, and deep laughter. I boasted within and out loud at the moment to cheer on our pack, grateful about the powerful woman that I chose to travel with, and deeply acknowledging that this positive, empowering, and collaborative experience was exactly where I chose to be. Just take a deep breath. If your eyes are closed, bring yourself back to the space. Could just a couple of you say out loud what you can hear is important to me, maybe a couple values that you can sense through my story.
Perseverance.
Perseverance, thank you.
Team building.
What was that last one?
Robert.
Camaraderie.
Strength that you didn't know you had. Peace.
Peace, I could see that peace move you too.
Nurturing.
Nurturing, thank you. So my top 5 values that I currently work with, and these are ever evolving for me, and this is what I work with clients as well to use as guidelines for them in their lives. My top 5 right now are what Jackie named earlier: connection, vitality. And to me, it means something different than it might to you, right? Hope, honesty, and creativity. These are things that I honor in myself, and these are the very things that press me forward, and they're lifelines for me. They're lanterns of hope for me for when I'm experiencing burnout, because I am a mom, I am a wife, and I also am a professional woman, just like all of you in different ways. So, when we experience burnout, the essence of burnout is that our light is snuffed, our internal light is put out, and we know too much the cost of it. I don't want to spend too much time, but sometimes we forget the breadth and the expanse of its impact. We know that it results in apathy, loss of motivation, decreased self-confidence, sluggishness. We stop moving our bodies, which is one of the chiefly most important things to us, decreased self-care, and over-reliance on food or substances. And I too have been here, as I mentioned to you, and all of that just makes me want to sink down in my chair a little bit. So let's lift up and remember this. When we're in distress and we don't cultivate compassion for ourselves, it leads to burnout. But we tend to do the opposite. We want to run from emotion. And instead, we have to almost put our arms around ourselves and acknowledge that it's going to be messy and unexpected. Move through the emotion. And this is called emotional intelligence. Behavioral science is getting smarter. It's getting more vast, and we're learning so much more. They're studying the brain in unique ways. Amy Armstead recently wrote an article. She's a neuroscience researcher from Yale. And she basically called this the Goldilocks Syndrome, where you have an area of your brain that functions to help you make choices and manage your behavior. And when the stress level goes up, that area shuts down. So it's no wonder that we feel apathetic and unable to respond. But I love a good success story, and this is it. There's a workaround. The workaround is that you have other areas of your brain that you can call on instead. So by giving yourself compassion in the moment, in the heat of distress, by calling yourself in and loving yourself more, acknowledging the parts of yourself that you do stand up for, you actually get to bypass that and access another area of your brain. So we have these sophisticated brains that we need to put to work for us, essentially. These values, this story that I shared with you had values in it that were from a positive and uplifting journey. But certainly there's been times in my life, and also for you, where I've had tremendous stress and great loss, where I've learned more about my inherent value system, caring for my mom through her cancer journey and her passing. We're dealing with my son and making a repair after we have a challenging conversation. This is where you get to see your values at work and really learn more about what you stand for. I just have a few minutes left, so I want to first challenge you after our session today to go home, grab a notebook that hasn't been tapped into, and to write your story of a time in your life when all cylinders were firing, where you felt lifted up and you were operating at the best of your best. Write that story first, and then write a story where you know you were greatly challenged. It might be a story of grief or loss. It might be a great trauma that you've overcome and that you still stand today to tell. And then read it out loud. Write the values that you hear in your story. Write where you see yourself standing up. And in each of those stories, circle the top 3 of those. And I guarantee you, these are already part of who you are. You don't have to go to a Pinterest quote to figure out what your value system is. It's in your stories, it lives in you, and it's personalized to you and the beauty of your uniqueness. Who we are being professionally and personally is influenced by so many different parts of our life and our relationships as whole women. And my professional career pre-children, which feels like a whole different life, to where I am presently, has taught me so much. And what I desire out of womanhood and leadership and collaboration has changed greatly. What I thought was important then is actually not as important to what it is now, right? This is why we're lucky to be in this room, in this wisdom space. So I want to give you a few tidbits, a tool that you can keep with yourself so that when you're up against distress the next time, or when you're struggling with burnout, if you don't remember all the other stuff that I said, you can remember these 3 P's that I came up with for you. The first one, it's a recalibration from distress, is pause. It sounds simple, but simply returning back to yourself inward. You settle in, you acknowledge what's happening physically with your body and with your breath. It's a sense of being, and it's an internal check-in. Awareness of your body sensations and of the pace of your mind are key here. You tap in to give yourself some grace. This is where the compassion begins. You stand in your authentic self, and if you've mined those values already, then you bring those up to the forefront of the surface so that they can be guidelines for you as you move ahead in the process. You use your resources and your designed support system that you've set up for yourself. So number 1 was pause, first P. Number 2 is prioritization. Too often, we're trying to do too many things, too many yeses. And that means that our fulfillment is for sale. So what are your top 3 priorities for this day? When you're in distress, you zone into the now. What are the 3 things that I must focus on today? And you prioritize and you guard your time accordingly. Of course, we have to have some flexibility, but we also have to have these boundaries. And the last P is personal responsibility and progress. Nobody else will hold us accountable for taking care of ourselves. It's up to us, yes? Holding yourself accountable for resonant actions, meaning these are choices and commitments that resonate with you. And guess what the best part is? If they don't, you have the freedom to change them on your own accord. Creatively rewriting your own commitments and consider renegotiating terms that don't match with your needs anymore. So sometimes we do need to be seen, heard, and appreciated by someone around us. And it's my honor to do that in my coaching practice. I get to spend time with women, men, and youngsters one-on-one. Oh, that's my stop. I didn't expect the alarm. But truthfully, it's a business of fulfillment for me too, because it's an iteration of what I've always done in the wellness industry. First through movement, and now I've translated through mindset. I just want to leave you with one little tidbit from Nelson Mandela, and that is, may your choices reflect your hopes, not your fears. Thank you so much for your time, ladies.
Is it possible for you to repeat the P's one more time?
Yes.
Okay. I want to
So
write this
the
down.
first P is pause. The second P is prioritization. And the third P is personal accountability and progress. That's a double. We want to move forward, right? We have to hold ourselves accountable for the progress. Yeah.
Anna Maria, thank you so much. I am so inspired. You're like so organized.
I know, right?
Let's have coffee. Let's. So you are inspiring. So thank you. That was so wonderful. I really, really appreciate that. So we're going to move on to our second speaker, and she is the Chief Executive Officer at Temecula Valley Hospital. She serves as the executive leader of a multi-million-dollar business with over 1,500 employees, physicians, volunteers, and residents. The hospital promotes health and significantly enhances the economic viability of the Temecula Valley, as we all know. She feels truly privileged to support civic and community service, including currently serving as a board member for the Temecula Valley Chamber of Commerce, the executive board member for the Murrieta Temecula Group, board member for the Hospital Association of Southern California, appointed member of the Riverside County Workforce Development Board, and a member of the Professional Women's Roundtable. Her educational background includes a BS in nursing, an MBA from Webster University, a native Californian, and resides in Temecula with her wonderful husband, Jim. They are blessed with 2 amazing children and 5 beautiful grandchildren. Thank you for fitting us in.
Right?
Please welcome Darlene Wynn.
Be here. I'd like to know a little bit about all of you. I think it's important to know who the audience is. So if you could at least, share your name and what type of business that you are involved in. We'll maybe start over here.
Hi, I'm Victoria. I am the Director of Admissions and Marketing for Rancho Milagro Recovery, which is a drug and alcohol recovery center out in the hills of Temecula Valley.
I'm Judy Tompkins, and I am the owner and founder of Rancho Milagro Recovery.
My name is Cristara Munoz. I am the Patient Care Manager at Wellness Diagnostics.
Hi, good morning. My name is Erin Quinn, and I work for 2 mortgage guys, and I've been in the mortgage industry for about 13 years. And in the middle of my time in the mortgage industry, I actually left because of the mortgage crash, and I wound up being a 911 dispatcher. And that was, oh my gosh, quite an experience. So now I'm back in the mortgage industry, and I'm going to be using my 911 skills to actually help people. So I'm getting ready to do some classes with this nonprofit called TIP. I'm super excited about that because that way my dispatch skills aren't wasted. I can actually help people with them.
My name is Lori Peter, and I'm with iTech California, and we are a security company for access control, cameras, burglar alarms, all that good stuff.
I'm Misty Curtis. I just recently retired to Temecula after being in Sedona for 30 years in the hospitality industry. My latest effort there was owning a hotel for 10 years. And when I sold it, I thought I wanted to come back to California because that's where I started my careers. And I own an Airbnb in wine country. We have 3 beautiful homes on 2.5 acres with a pool and spa. We're surrounded by vineyards, horse property, and we offer serenity and relaxation and beauty.
We'll be right over the line. That's after this meeting.
You're all welcome.
I'm Liz Rouse. I'm a Global Banker Commercial, and I run the operations for the brokerage and the commercial property management.
I'm Angela Jenkins, and I am a trust and estate attorney. So I focus on estate planning, and then I handle all of the scene affairs, probate, trust administration, transitional, start taking over parent affairs, I handle all of that.
Hi, I'm Robin Johnson. I'm a criminal defense attorney and have been for 40 years. I handle everything from your traffic tickets, DUIs, drug cases, and I need to talk to the Rancho Milagros. To very serious crimes, because even good people mess up sometimes.
Yeah. My name's Janiece and I'm also an attorney. I don't think we've been sitting by each other. So I do employer-only employment law, and then I also have an estate planning practice and trust administration and probate litigation practice that I launched in February.
My name is Lauren Caracciolo. I'm with Insurance All-Stars Agency as an insurance agent, and we specialize in property and casualty insurance, and we are family owned and operated.
That's my daughter. I'm Tina Caracciolo, owner and founder of Insurance All-Stars Agency, and I've been a property and casualty agent for 32 years.
Great. So great audience that we have today. Yeah. It's so nice to meet everybody. So one of the things I think is really important with burnout is to self-identify. You know, we particularly as women, we tend to deny everything. So, you know, it's kind of like, you know, I'm Darlene Wet and I'm an alcoholic. It's I'm Darlene Wet and I experience burnout. And because we don't always identify it, you know, you get a little snippy. You're snippy at home, you're snippy at work. You don't want to get out of bed, you know, and you think, okay, it's just, you know, it's hormonal. It's something other than I'm experiencing burnout, you know. So I think it's really important to kind of realize what it is that's going on and what are you going to do about it. You know, so if you're putting it on to everything else, and the same thing is true of a heart attack, you know, you think it's everything else besides what it really is. And until you acknowledge that, hey, I'm experiencing burnout, then you're not going to do anything with that. You know, you're going to continue to be dragging around, being snippy with people, snippy with your kids, you know, and just not really having the energy to do anything. And it could be something as simple as I need to identify what's going on in my life, and it could be my work. You know, something going on at work that's going on, you know, that's affecting you. And what do you do with that situation? You know, it's not always easy. Many of you are independent, or you're family owned. You know, it's not like you can just jump away from that situation and, you know, I'm going to be an astronaut instead. You know, I mean, you can't get out of that situation. So how do you deal with those kind of opportunities? When I told my husband that I had been asked to speak, and I asked him, I said, what do you think I should talk about? And he says, well, I know what you do. He says, brownies, shoes, and you get creative. And I said, exactly. You know, so, and you know, it's difficult because when you hear people talk about, you know, the things you're supposed to do, eat healthy, exercise, you know, and I know all that, and I'm a nurse, and I have to practice, you know, what I preach to some degree, but I also know it doesn't work for everybody. What works for me when I'm stressed, I go for the brownies every time. And I don't weigh 400 pounds. I know my limits as to how many brownies I'm going to consume, but for each of you, it may be something different, you know. Going on a healthy diet may be completely impossible for you. It's going to cause more stress than you're trying to reduce. It's the best thing for your health and for your body, but in that stressful moment, you know, going for the carrot stick may not just really get you there. You know, so you have to think about what really gives me joy, and oftentimes it's food. You know, don't go crazy with it, but find that joy. Get that comfort food. That's okay. You're not going to eat it, you know, every day for that year. You know, but find that thing that's fun. And we do that a lot at the hospital. Food seems to solve just about everything. You know, it's amazing. During the COVID pandemic, and you know, we weren't allowing visitors in the hospital during that time, so we could do things a little bit differently because we didn't have to look as professional. I allowed everybody to wear jeans in the hospital for like months, and I fed them free meals 3 times a day. Everything was free, and we brought in a ton of food from the community as well.
Did
And
you
those
go to
kind
our
of things.
hospital, right?
Huh? And you know, and you try to do things a little bit creative, you know, because I know that I'm reducing my stress. I mean, to not have to go to the dry cleaners with clothes, you know, so how am I going to get clothes? I just soon put on a pair of jeans and be casual at work because, you know, it's Zoom from here up. You know? So I'm not wearing pajamas, but I mean, you know, to be casual at work, I know how that reduced my stress. So why not do that for, you know, the physicians and the nurses and the, you know, the whole gang, you know? So So kind of mix it up, let them enjoy life, and food seems to just calm everybody down. So food I think is a real good thing. I love to shop. I love to shop for shoes, and I know that if I'm having something bad, even if I don't buy them, just the opportunity to experience that, something that I love, so finding the thing that just brings you joy. Doesn't cost a fortune, get your nails done, whatever it is, it's that little fun thing that just takes it a step back and gets you out of that work swirl to do something fun, and to have that fun. And getting creative, that's always been fun for me. Do something completely different. We painted one whole classroom in the hospital with that draw-on paint, that you can write all over the walls. People love that. It's what you do in kindergarten. You don't normally do it in the hospital, but for people to be able to come in on their break and write whatever they draw pictures, there's all kinds of crazy stuff on the walls. It's very expensive paint. You're not going to paint everything, but to have that kind of a wall at your office or at work where people can write on the walls, people like to write on stuff because it breaks the rules. It's not something normal. It's something creative they don't normally get to do. You can't do it at home. Usually, so you have some fun, you get creative and you do something a little bit out of the ordinary that and it's okay to break the rules, nobody's gonna die, and that's kind of one of my other things. I put things in perspective, and this is gonna scare many of you because I run a hospital, but brace yourself. When people start, their hair's on fire and they're running around, I say, did anybody die? And let's put things in perspective. And then, okay, yes, they did. And I say, okay, well, they're dead, so there's still no reason to get overly excited. That happened. Now we have time to look at what happened. So my husband tried this. He was a regional vice president at Ralph's grocery company, and he tried this. Did anybody die thing at Ralph's? Didn't go over quite as well. But putting things in perspective, is there really any reason to get as excited as we are about whatever X is, whatever just happened in the business or the situation? Let's all calm down a little bit. Let's not run around with our hair on fire. There's no reason to get quite as worked up as we all are. Nobody died. It could be that bad. Somebody called in sick. Okay. So that's okay. Things happen. But kind of putting it in perspective. You look at the world and things going on. What's going on in our little world is not really that bad. So it kind of balances out things. I tend to be a very calm individual anyway, so it's easy for me not to have my hair on fire. But for everybody else, that isn't true. You've got people that tend to be your Tasmanian devil that are swirling all the time. You got to kind of bring them down a notch because they're getting everybody else excited. So calming down a little bit. I did a little bit of research when I was asked to speak about, okay, let's say you want to escape your current job because that's causing your burnout, and you want to do something that's really low stress. So I Googled it, low stress job, and this just blew me away. Dental hygiene. What? Like, shoot me now. Really? Everybody hates those people. That's like on the top 3 is dental hygiene. Okay, well, that isn't gonna work. And then I Googled fun jobs, and this was another one that's like, really? A trainer for a person who drives race cars. Trainer for that's a fun job. Okay, I'm gonna stick with my day job. Okay, Google did not save me this time. I was like, that isn't gonna work. That was, interesting to do that. One of the things that I do is I try to, not only put things in perspective, but also to be grateful. And I try to talk about that. And that was one of the things I talked about a lot during COVID. It was difficult to be grateful for things when people were losing loved ones. We had a tremendous amount of death that we were dealing with at the hospital. And it was really difficult to get people back to being grateful for things when they're experiencing so much stress and so much crisis. And it didn't have to be big things. It's not like you had a miracle in your life. you know, you're grateful. I'm not as grateful I drove here safely today. I'm grateful that, you know, the zipper went up on the back of my dress and didn't break. You know, you're grateful, you know, grateful for small things. You're grateful for your loved ones and your family, you know, and your health. You know, just to think about, and again, putting things back into perspective. So I try to, you know, at least think of 3 things a day that I'm grateful for. You know, I made it to work. You know, I didn't forget where I was going. You know, those are good things. You know, I didn't leave the purse at home. I didn't leave my cell phone at home. My husband's having to drive it in because I forgot it again. You know, there's small things that you're grateful for. That's important. And again, it kind of brings things back. That the disaster I'm dealing with at work. You know, what am I grateful for at work? I have an amazing team, beautiful people that work in the hospital. I'm so grateful for the team that I have and I'm blessed with. You know, so putting that into perspective helps me to reduce my burnout. You know, and having fun doing those kind of things. The last thing I want to leave you with is a saying that somebody shared with me that's always resonated, and that is, "You are the weather." And it was great for me when I got the flyer as to who are going to be the other speakers, because I know this little bundle of energy over here. And when you think of somebody when they walk in the room and you think about, gosh, there's the sunshine. They just light up the room. When I think of her, she's the weather, you know. So when you think about yourself, if you're coming in cloudy and gray and there's lightning going on, you know, you're the weather. You know, if you're coming in, there's a fog bank around you. You know how other people are experiencing their burnout. They're reflecting that off of you. You know, so when you think of yourself as being the weather and how you present yourself at work or even at home, you know, when you come in the door. And how you present yourself, you don't have the smile, you know, you're the kind of drag on your tail in, you know, you're in the fog, you're the stormy one. Everybody else is going to be stormy around you. You know, you're reflecting how everybody else is going to bounce off of you. So think of yourself as the weather. And can you be that, you know, bundle of sunshine and that energy? It's tough to do. I try to think of myself as I'm driving in. I got to leave some baggage in the car because there's a lot of people that are going to watch. If I've got my hair on fire or I'm in a fog and a cloud, you know, there's about 1,000 people watching my attitude that day. But if I'm okay, everybody else is going to be okay. You know, so think about that in your business as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm actually very, very alike, and I didn't know this, but I literally say to people all the time, nobody's going to die. Real estate is crazy, and every day is a new day. And when something goes wrong, I remind myself of this every day, and I'm calling you to remind you, nobody's actually going to die. The house will go back to the market. We will figure out the loan, whatever it is. Nobody's actually going to die. So I appreciate that. I'm not the only one that thinks like that. When I say it to my clients, they're like, "That's interesting, but okay, you're right." So thank you for that. I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Okay, so our third speaker is Janiece Londol, and she is a broker and owner of Real Estate Top Level Realty. She serves as a certified mentor for eXp Realty. She sits on the board of directors for Southwest Riverside Association of Realtors and the California Association Director. She believes in the importance of education, determination, and the commitment to succeed in any business. Janiece is an accomplished real estate consultant for over 25 years plus, and in the Inland Valley and San Diego areas. She loves to inspire others to be what they dream to be by mentoring new and seasoned realtors. Janiece holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Management and a plethora of real estate certifications and designations. She volunteers and is a member of the following associations: the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, she is Vice President; the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, SRCAR, Diversity in Housing Committee, she is the Chair; the Asian Real Estate Association, California Association of Black Real Estate Professionals, American Heart Association Southwest Riverside Executive Committee. Janiece loves helping clients build wealth through real estate and being involved in the local community. Janiece enjoys physically challenging herself with running, hiking, and the outdoors. She runs on her own and with a local running club made to be fit, and she is always on the move with her dog,
Bella's here.
All right, I'm coming out, everybody. Oh, goodness gracious, I got my security blanket right here, Bella. And, yeah. You see?
She will make you smile and relax, right? So we got the right tool here for us today.
Thank you so much. This is great. Bio. That's wonderful. But thank you so much, everyone. I'm so glad that we're here today. But of course, I got to come out into the middle because we got to do some fun stuff. And we got to just I want you guys to just relax, have fun, and just kind of visualize with me. Go with me. Just play along with me as you will. A lot of things that weren't in my bio, of course, is that I was brought up by entrepreneurial family, so we were always business owners. And ingrained in our head is hard work. You work hard, right?
Yep.
And don't embarrass the family. Goodness gracious. Yeah. So, burnout is bound to happen for somebody in this family with those type of criteria, I'm quite sure. But what is burnout? We've heard a lot about what's burnout. What is it to you? How do you see it? So I did a little thing I got on Google. And Google said, by the Harvard Business Review back in 1920, so this is just last year, May of last year, listen to this. Burnout is now considered to be a serious workplace issue. And it's no surprise that women report higher levels of burnout than men. One study identified gender inequalities in the workplace as a key element that's impacting occupational mental health. Isn't that a word we've been hearing a lot lately? Women are found to have lower levels of decision-making authority and were often overqualified for their roles, which ultimately leads to less satisfaction at work and a sense that they have fewer career alternatives. Women often think it's their own fault that they're not thriving. But for women leaders to better respond to adapt to our stressful workplaces, it's critical that a clearer understanding of what burnout is and how it manifests is necessary. We need to know what this burnout thing is, according to Harvard. So by identifying the patterns of burnout and, for instance, for developing where necessary by saying no to projects that do not serve long term and by taking better care of themselves. You guys hear what we're saying? I mean, we're all kind of saying the same thing, and I'm just glad that we're kind of repeating it over and over and over again. Because my name is Janiece Londol, and I'm a burnout woman. It's real. So I want to share a story with you. As you can see, there's a little story I want to share because I do have my little red shoes on, and they are glittery. Have you heard of the Wizard of Oz? Anyone?
Yes.
Ah, yeah, Amazon. But have you heard of the story about the Wizard of Oz, the musical? I know some of us definitely have seen it by now. I know there's some younger ones in here, so I'm not sure. Have you seen? Okay, all right. Because it was back in 1939 when that thing was kind of started. Yeah, but I don't think anyone realized how many lessons are in that musical. And they're not all just for kids. It's actually for adults too, to learn something. I think it's actually the perfect metaphor for burnout and stress. So, for the 20th century Dorothy, we're going to call her Dee. Because, nowadays the younger generations, they abbreviate everything to a letter or something like that. So now she's Dee. Okay? And our little Toto is going to be Bella.
about Dee. Because Dee was full of aspiration. She had goals and things that she wanted to accomplish. She had a vision. She had a grand vision of who she wanted to be and what her life was going to be like. Family, kids, children, white picket fence, fabulous job, perfect shoes. She worked hard, night after night, late nights, burning the fire. What do they call it? Burning candle on both ends. She would get up in the morning, go to the office. She would go work late at the office. Now, mind you now, I'm real estate now, but was in corporate America for a good 9 years, so I know about corporate. And I know about being a business owner as well. Sleepless nights. All she wanted to do is she just wanted to make a difference. She wanted to achieve her goals. But one day, Dee and little Bella was just sitting there. Something was changing. She started getting a little foggy. She wasn't making decisions very well anymore. She started second guessing herself. Confidence was going. She found that feeling a little irritable, resentful of others who seemed to have it all together. She even thought, what's wrong with me? Is there something wrong with me? I can't remember from when I was here till I walked over there. What was I going to do? Forgetfulness. What is wrong with me, she says to Bella. I do talk to my dog, by the way. I really do. She even called her mom and said, Mom, am I old enough to have dementia? Do I have dementia? Her mom says what? You don't have dementia. You just working too hard. You need to slow down. You need to cut back. Has anyone heard those words from some of your friends and family? But she had a goal and she wanted to try and do that. And then all of a sudden, dogs get that sixth sense. They can feel something's not right. They can feel when the storm is coming. Yeah, Bella felt it at that moment and she took off. She was scared. She was frightened. And oh boy, Dee got scared too. She was like, oh, Karen, what the heck is going on? What's wrong with me? It was the storm. It was the tornado. Anybody know what a tornado looks like? We've seen it on TV. I'm from the Midwest, so I know what a tornado is like. It's scary. Gray skies. Wind is blowing like crazy. Rain is falling. It's an eerie warmth in the air. And it's quiet. And then the tornado hits. And there you are. Dorothy and little Bella, or Dee, and Bella, they're tossing and turning all inside of this tornado. You guys remember you see on TV and things are flying around with you in the tornado? You got the tractor that shows up and the car over there shows up and it's flying in the tornado with you. Well, this was happening to Dee. And what did she see? What did Dee see in her tornado? She saw that desk at office that had all these piles of papers and projects that she has not completed because it's tough. She's in the fog, right? She saw anxiety. Oh, the big word, anxiety, because you know what? She dreaded every morning to get up and go to work because she knew what she had to face. Those big piles on her desk of things that she has not been able to accomplish because it takes her longer to do just one task because she's in the fog. She even saw that nutritional breakfast, lunch, and dinner go by that she missed out on because she was working on a project that she just couldn't get done. She even saw, I'm not smart enough. I can't do this. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. These are all the things that were floating around in that tornado with her. And then all of a sudden, she broke down. where did she end? She ended up in the magical world of Oz. And guess what? She needed to find a way home. She's scared. Remember in the beginning? She was scary. You imagine landing in the place that you've never seen before? And the lions and tigers and bears, oh my? That's where she was. And she was afraid. She needed to get some direction. So guess what? She had to ask for help. Women, why don't we ask for help? Why don't we ask for help? Don't be ashamed to ask for help. You are enough. So she asked for help and someone said, what? Just follow the yellow brick road. Just follow the yellow brick road. Just follow the yellow brick road. Oh, yay! So they were happy and just skipping along down the yellow brick road. And then what? She couldn't still go home yet because she needed to accomplish a few more things before she was granted that access. What were those things? She needed to reconnect with herself. She needed to find her heart again. That was the Tin Man. She needed to find her courage again. That was the lion. And she needed to find her brain and feel that she's smart enough again. That was the Scarecrow. Now that she has made progress through the yellow brick road and she has accomplished all of the things, now she can actually go home. So she clicked her little red slippers and voila, now she's home, but she's still got work to do. I'm gonna give you 6 things that little Miss D decided she should do to try and help herself after all of this storm that she has gone through. One is coach, get an accountability partner. Who could that be for you? Do you have to pay for a coach? No, you don't. But do you have someone in your family or in your life that you can say, they will hold me accountable to stick to what I need to do? And it can't be someone that's not going to really make you do it. Right? Because, you got the hard-headed people just like me, that you need someone a little bit stronger. Organize, systematize, and delegate. We need to learn how to get organized and systemize things to make it easy for ourselves and delegate. And that means we need to do that not only at work, but we need to do it at home too. Right? What could that be? Could that be hiring an assistant? Could that be just having a house cleaner come? What could it be? Could it be paying somebody to make your meals for you? Right? So that it'll free up some time for you, okay, to be able to connect and not to feel so overwhelmed and prevent yourself from going to burnout. Eat well. Exercise. Find a group, a running group, which I have found, which has helped me tremendously, especially when COVID hit. Because what happened? Oh boy, I really lost my connection. And so the best thing for me was exercise. So you guys probably saw me on Facebook, running like a crazy person. Yeah, I was probably the only one who didn't gain weight during COVID. But exercise, even if it's, who is it, Coach Kimberly? She does 1 mile a day. So now when we think of 1 mile a day, what do we think? Oh Lord, that's gonna take me forever to get to do that, right? And I can't do a mile. But just like was said earlier, taking little baby steps. Who said you had to do a mile all at once? A mile a day is 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the afternoon, so on and so forth, and you get it done. And you can rant and rave about how you did a mile a day. Stay social. That was my lifeblood. Having a group, being able to stay social with other people. Lunch, friends, spa. During COVID, I ended up joining Toastmasters, for goodness sakes. Right? Because I just was losing it. Who am I going to talk to? Besides clients, can I talk to another person that's not in real estate? And let's talk about something else. That's what I ended up doing, so I did that. So I just want to share with you guys. I want you all to just be aware of some of the situations, because I want to tell you that tornado hit me. And where did I find myself? I found myself on the kitchen floor, flat on my back, with my husband pushing on my chest because he's thinking I had a heart attack. And that was not the case. But the lesson was learned. We have to listen to the signs and do what we can. And it doesn't hurt to ask for help. It doesn't hurt to ask somebody. We're here networking with each other, and each and every one of us here today has a tip that they could share on how you can make things a little easier. It's all here. We just have to ask and not be afraid to do that. So today I asked for each and every one of you, I want you all to breathe. Just breathe. You're enough. You're okay. And you are in control. Right? Just take that step and pause. And just take a look back. See what's going on. There is an answer. Talk to others. So, what I want you all to do is I want you to click your red heels and I want you to live again. Because it is all possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Janiece. Darlene was right. You are a ray of sunshine. I loved it, and thank you for your energy. That you're amazing. It was wonderful to listen to you, and great tips too. So even better, right? That's why we're here. Of course, I always fail to introduce myself at the start of a presentation. My name is Jackie Steed, and I am a board member here at the Chamber. I serve currently as Secretary of the Board. I've been involved with the Chamber for about 15 years. Like all of you, I'm a business owner. I'm a realtor just like Janiece, and I love what I do. But we all get burned out, and we all get exhausted, and we all have days that are very stressful, and we need ways to combat those. So I'm sure that's why you're all here, just to get those tips. And we've heard tips. Pause, prioritize, personal accountability, brownies, shoes, shopping, be grateful, be the weather, have a great little cute dog, beautiful Bella, have a coach, have a social life, and have an outlet like running or whatever suits your needs, whatever works for you. So we're going to move on to the question and answer part of the program. I know that we're kind of right on time now, so we may do another 5 minutes of this if everybody's okay time-wise. If you have to get up and leave, we will not be offended. But let's start with questions. Does anybody have any questions or any thoughts they'd like to share after listening to everybody's?
I just want to know, do you have a studio?
I've worked for a studio. Actually, I recently consulted a studio on their expansion.
Oh, great.
For a minute there, just as a studio consultant, taking all my experience in the fitness industry and supported other women in growing hers. And so I teach there. It's called Fitness at SoCal. It's attached to SoCal Krav Maga, which is right on the corner of Los Alamos and the 215 freeway. It's a wonderful place where you can get strength work from qualified strength trainers, hot yoga at a good pace that isn't going to kill you, and great indoor cycling classes that are really well organized. Yeah, and then separately, if you're interested in booking a coaching session with me, you can go to my website, which is annamarialevin.com.
Do you have business cards we can have?
I don't do cards, but I'm so happy to directly have you sent to my website or give you my personal information. I'd be happy to give that to each of you.
Or maybe we can give you a business card and you can just follow up with us.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. Thank you so much.
Sounds great. Okay, anybody else? Okay, so let me ask some questions and we'll kind of get some feedback. What are the top 3 signs of professional burnout to look for? I mean, we've kind of discussed that. I mean, it really is a fog. It is becoming depressed. We've had those conversations. And it is really just not being able to focus and picking on your loved ones at home, because that's where we take it, because they love us so much, we do pick on them. We don't do that to our clients. But you know, we've heard solutions to that. Do any of you have other things that really stand out for when you get burned out? Tiredness is obviously a huge one, but anything else?
Snippy.
I noticed it's, you start to lose the reason or the joy for your work and your career, right? Like what I do is my everything.
Yes.
I've done the litigation and criminal defense, it wasn't for me. But I do what I do because my father was sick and passed away. Like I saw the whole process. And so that is, I get up and I go, I need to help people today. And when I start going, oh, I have nothing to do with this, it's time for that break. You have to take a step back. And then it makes you want to go back to it because you're like, I miss it. But I think when I started, I had years later noticing it myself, just going, when I started losing that joy, I go, I think I need to lose a vacation day. One of the 45 I have saved up.
So bad. Okay, Robin.
That's what I was gonna say. We need vacations. Because
Yeah.
we haven't the whole last year and a half for the
Yeah.
most part.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we need to get out there. I'm going to Paris.
Yay!
So excited and Provence. So I went to the library yesterday and took out 5 books and a movie, Amelie, on Paris, language and stuff. So it's a new hobby to try to relearn the language and to go somewhere. So I think if you get involved in something like that, and then you do that for a little bit, and then you go back to your work, it's fine. It's good. It's not that you're constantly working and stuff.
I think that's so true. My husband does forced vacations with me, like, we're going out of town tonight, sweetheart, and you're not going to talk about real estate. And I'm like, okay, babe, I'm coming. It's like, forced, you're leaving. That's it. We're leaving Temecula. But it's funny you had mentioned just that burnout. I recently had something that happened. So yesterday was a crazy day, but I woke up this morning, I'm like, I'm refreshed, I'm refocused, and it was having people to speak to run ideas through, and to know my heart and my intentions, and to talk me through those things, right? So I think having those outlets of people that you can speak to. So those are obviously your family and friends. Do you have any other organizations or groups that you're involved with that will help you through that? Anybody want to share?
I don't have a point about that, but like one of the strategies that I use is I'm constantly trying to reframe the situation. So if I'm feeling really negative about something, instead of seeing it the way that I'm looking at it, I change my perspective. So let's say I have like a lot of, because I do administration, pretty much do everything, like, you know, like a one-stop shop. So it's like when I have I have a lot of work to do, and most of it is like calls, and I'm like the problem person. So if there's a problem, you're calling me, you know, and I'll handle it. So the way I reframe that is, because it can get really stressful, because I'm also dealing with that at home, because I'm also mom, you know, wife, and you know, I have a family, and everybody's like, I'm the problem person. So I just try to like reframe it and be like, well, I'm doing this, and it's, instead of seeing it as a bunch of problems, I see it as I'm helping. Because that makes me feel better, because it's something that I enjoy doing, is helping other people. So I'm like, I'm taking this burden from other people and then doing it here, and everybody's happy about it. So that's just something that I kind of do. Maybe I'll help you guys, I don't know. You change it around, you change the negative to a positive, it also does something to your brain, right? So then you can think better, and it helps really combat getting that brain fog or being too stressed out. So.
And sometimes as another resource, I just wanted to mention what we can immediately do to shift our perspective is simply to listen to music. Put some music on, go outside, let the sunshine touch your body for 5 minutes, or really find a podcast. I have a collection of subscriptions on my phone for free through Apple Podcasts, and I know the ones that I need to go to in order to give myself a shift in mindset. And it's obviously someone who's a little energized or positive or has a unique perspective, something interesting I want to learn about. And what we take in is oftentimes then what we're sending out.
Going back to turning the negative into a positive, that's 100% a thing. I have worked so hard to get to that place, and it's so easy for something negative to happen and sit in the negative spot for 2 hours. But what I've been doing is when something happens, instead of reacting to it, because my reaction stems how the rest of the day is going to go. So if I don't react negatively and I reshift my energy to a positive place, it just works out better.
I think something that's really important too in our business is having boundaries. Right?
so
We're all
hard to have
workaholics. We
boundaries.
gotta get it done now. We gotta answer that email. We gotta answer that phone call. And we're really, really hard on ourselves because we set expectations and our clients then expect those expectations to happen, right? So what are some boundaries that you help yourself with to keep you sane? Darlene, it's some boundaries.
That's absolutely the wrong person.
No, you're in the hospital, you have to have boundaries.
I do. Instead of saying no, I say yes and. So, because people don't like to hear no, so yes, we'll be able to do this crazy surgery the surgeon wants to do, and it's gonna cost me $1 million and I'm not gonna make any money on it. So yes, and let me look at that, in 6 months when, so I try to get to the yes and instead of just with the no, because it's difficult to say no to just about everybody. They don't want to hear that. The limits on my own time, I don't have problems with that, but limits on other people's dreams and aspirations, you gotta get to the yes and, or I said not yes but yes and.
That's great, I love that. Anybody else, boundaries?
Yeah,
You?
Go ahead. Oh, I was just saying because, we have the office with the family and then we have the house with the family. And so I'm really good about not looking at emails when it comes to business when I'm at home, and I try to have compartments, okay? The house is the compartment, the office is the compartment, and I try not to mix them up. But I broke my rule last night, and I'm sitting here listening to you guys, and I'm like, dang it. And we were around the kitchen table eating dinner, and it came up, and it was then an insurance conversation around our dinner table. And I'm like, no. And being here this morning just made me recognize, gosh, I broke my rule last night. And I was upset about it. And now I have to okay, I got to get back to the compartments and stop talking about insurance around the dinner table. It should be family, and it should never be work.
I think it's something that's so hard though when you have where you work in a family-owned business and, and you're in a family-owned business is being able to have those separate, conversations. Judy is not only my boss, but she's one of my best friends. And so for me, we have to really separate, okay, this is our girl time, and this is our, business time. We're focused on work, we're doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So I think the way I've put a boundary, we've created boundaries for ourselves is saying, okay, when we go out to dinner and we're, enjoying tacos at Guadalajara's, we're gonna hang out, talk girl talk, and go get our nails done, whatever. But then when we're at the office and we're getting our stuff done, we're gonna focus for 4 or 5 hours, get what we need to do so we can go to that dinner. Yeah. I get some good cheese thing last night.
Kristen?
Well, I have terrible boundaries. I have breathing treatments twice a day, and that's my email time, along with other things like that. So I really have to get out of the house. If it's grandchild time, the boundaries are clear. And they spend every Friday night with me, so that's not email time. But I am terrible about it. I can't, and it's partly just self-defense to not get control of 130 emails before the next day comes is really hard. But then trying to keep up with that is just the recipe for burnout.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's really been walking and walking my dog. I have a present for Janiece. This is my dog, Ollie. So Ollie and I are a canine therapy team. And we were exiled through COVID. That's 15 months that we've had no canine therapy at all, or any other volunteer at the hospital. And Ollie and I take a walk, and I'm addicted to audibles. And I listen to stories very often about the South, because I'm from South Arkansas. I love stories about slaves trying to reconnect with their families and just kind of a horrible, oppressive things that happened in the South. This was my culture. We had 2% white in my community. And so this is my escape. I get to go back to Arkansas in a way, me and my dog, and walk the streets for a good hour a day. And now we just got tested last Saturday to be able to go back to work. in the hospital, and so I'm gonna get to, yes, that's yours. I hope Bella's not jealous.
She says she thinks it's cute.
Yes, I like it. But really, it's like you, it's my dog. I love to spend time with my dog, and my dog does not mind if I do anything else. He sits right under my feet at his and we have good enjoys our life together.
That is so wonderful. And in the interest of time, we're really going to wrap it up. But I want to say that it's just so nice to be in a room with a collection of women that just really want to help each other. I think we get a really bad rap sometimes of women are so catty and just all this stuff, right? But I think as women are evolving and learning and being more in the professional light, that we are seeing that we need to have each other's back.
Yeah.
And if a lady's having a hard time, we need to be there to pick her up. And maybe when we're having conversations, we don't tear people down or have those snotty little comments. Maybe we say, maybe she needs help with something. Or maybe her intent is not that. Maybe her intent is actually something good. Or maybe I need to ask her a question to clarify what that is. Right? So I think women as each other, as professionals in this community, we're so fortunate. There's so many women at the top of their game that have shared this platform with us today, and to have all of you to come and be part of this. It truly means so much. And I appreciate that you're here and you're members of the chamber. It's always wonderful to have you. And in closing, the chamber staff will be sending out a follow-up email within 48 hours. As I did mention, this was recorded, so the people that could not attend will be getting a copy of this. And then mark your calendars for the next Women's Professional Collective meeting. It's going to be on November 18th at 10 a.m. We are going to have our Women in Business event, and that's going to be on Wednesday, September the 16th at Pachanga Resort Casino. And if you would like to sponsor each event, there's always sponsorship opportunities. Please contact Brooke, our events director of Temecula Valley Chamber. And ladies, thank you so much. It was wonderful to be in person.